hear somebody, I hear somebody's background there. So first I'll say good morning. Thank you for joining us for this DPIE community information session on accessing information from DPIE. We appreciate you taking some time to join us this morning. Before we get started with a PowerPoint presentation and a discussion by our panel of experts, apologize. I want to just get some housekeeping issues out of the way. If you should have been muted when you came in. If not, everybody, please take a second and make sure that you are muted. I'll stop while we make sure that that's done. Please remain muted the entire program unless you're called on to speak. And when you speak, after you speak, make sure that you mute yourself again. It's just distracting for everybody when there's background noise in somebody's microphone. Okay, a few more things. We have enabled closed captioning for those who'd like to use that. We're also recording this presentation. The program will include a few greetings here at the beginning, a short PowerPoint presentation, a Q&A session, where you get the opportunity to ask questions of any of the experts that we have here. If you have any questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat. We'll take questions from the chat in the early part of the program, and then after we get through the PowerPoint, we'll take questions from the floor. If you have a question that's particularly complicated and you'd like somebody to step off to the virtual, side with you to answer that, let us know. We can arrange to have that happen for you. We'd ask that you keep the questions relatively concise. If you have, some sort of, like I said, situation that is, relatively complicated, we can get somebody on the phone with you right now to help you get that resolved. The PowerPoint will be posted on our website. The link will be sent out on Twitter, and it'll be on our Facebook page as well. I'd like to start off by saying welcome to our illustrious director, Melinda Bowling. We are so fortunate to have her here. Those of you who've had the opportunity to meet her know that she is a hardworking, public service oriented, committed to making sure that her agency delivers the best services possible director. She is motivational and always willing to offer us the opportunity to learn more and to do more on your behalf. Director Bowling.
Well, good morning, and thank you for that gracious introduction, Avis. Happy New Year, Prince Georgians. So happy to see all of you here today. And we're so happy that you joined us for our next third Thursday. We like reaching out to you and answering your questions. And with that, I'll hand it back to Avis.
Thank you. Now we have another wonderful member of our leadership team, Deputy Director Lamont Hinton.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for participating in today's open forum. We look forward to hearing from you. And we have the dedicated staff of DPIE to answer any and all questions that you may bring before. Thank you.
Thank you. And Deputy Director Dawit Abraham.
Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year, and welcome to the first 2023 DPIE Community Information Meeting. And we're glad to have you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we'd like to let you hear from the experts that you'll hear from later on. We'll start off with Associate Director Belur Ravishankar.
Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to the session. My name is Belur Ravishankar. I'm the Associate Director for Building Plan Review Division and Permitting and Licensing Division. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Associate Director Mary Giles.
Good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be here and Happy New Year. I am the Associate Director of the DPIE Site Road Plan Review Division. We review things like grading, permits, driveways, drainage issues, stormwater management, fences, roads, basically all site work related to permits that you may be interested in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Associate Director Val Carey.
Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year to you. My name is Valerie Carey. I'm the Associate Director for the Enforcement Division. We're responsible for the enforcement of the Prince George's County Code as it refers to private property and commercial property. We're also responsible for the licensing of all the rental properties in Prince George's County. So I'm here to answer any of your questions, and I believe you.
Thank you so much. Assistant Associate Director Karen Spears.
Good morning and welcome to this first third Thursday meeting for January for 2023. I am the Assistant Associate Director for the Permitting and Licensing Division, where we accept the applications and process them for business licenses, for use and occupancy permits, for construction at the home and at commercial businesses, and we also issue them. We also have a team that ensures that the plans are properly distributed for review to the appropriate reviewers. And we work with our sister agencies such as the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission to ensure that all reviews are completed according to the code. Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Assistant Associate Director Crystal Tibbs is next.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming. It's good to see everyone. We look forward to this continued partnership every third Thursday. Again, my name is Crystal Tibbs. I'm the Assistant Associate Director for DPIE Enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Assistant Associate Director, no, I'm sorry, Assistant Associate Director George Holmes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is George Holmes. I'm the Assistant Associate Director for the Inspections Division. We perform construction-related inspections for permitted work in the county. So we are here to assist you, and we welcome you this day. Thank you.
And we have Division Chief Nabil Wasim.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nabil Wasim. I'm the Division Chief for Building Plan Review Division. I oversee plan review for health, mechanical, electrical, fire, life safety, building and structural plan review. So my team oversees anything with commercial, residential buildings. Could be decks. It could be anything related to building, code compliance questions. My team answers those, and we're here to know how we can help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have Special Assistant to the Director, Dan Dornan.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here, and I appreciate your attendance. It's a great day in Prince George's County. My name is Dan Dornan, and I'm Special Assistant to the Director of DPIE, and I'm responsible for the performance management section of DPIE. And I also get involved in reporting on operating statistics, customer satisfaction survey results, and helping to develop standard operating procedures such as the guidelines for permitting electric vehicle charging stations. Looking forward to your questions later on. Have a great afternoon. Talk to you later. Bye-bye now.
Thank you so much. And Team Lead Sharon Williams. Mr. Williams.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sharon Williams II. I am the team lead of our business license section. We are charged with issuing business licenses for various businesses in Prince George's County. 3 examples of our businesses that we issue are motor vehicle repair facility licenses, electrical contractor limited licenses, and master electrician limited licenses. Looking forward to any questions that you may have. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. And do we have Code Enforcement Officer Renee Jenkins Palacios on?
Good morning, Avis. Yes, I am here.
Good morning. May we get you to shout out to the team here?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Renee Jenkins Palacios. I'm the Code Enforcement Officer for Single Family Rental. I am on this morning to help with any questions that you might have about single family rental. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, as I said previously, you're welcome to go ahead and start putting your questions in the Q&A. People will respond to them inside the chat, but when we get to the presentation, we'll take those questions verbally as well, because we've been told that people like to listen. They don't necessarily want to read the chat to get their responses. So we'll start off now with our PowerPoint presentation. Ed, if you could get that up for us. It's long. We tend to be very informative with our presentations because we want to make sure that you have access to all the information. I will not go through all 37 slides. We'll hit high points here to allow more time for you to have with the experts. The PowerPoint will be available to you later today, and please take the opportunity to read all the way through it. We have a wonderful graphic artist, Cynthia Manuel, who spends copious time, making it attractive to look at. We've got people who contribute to writing it to make sure that the information is good. Right there, I'd like to stop and say thank you to our technical team. We have Miss Candace Taylor. We have Tia Collins, who's not with us here today. We have Susan Taman, Ed Hall, and Cheyenne. So thank you so much for everything you do. They're the ones behind the scenes who make sure that everything works well for us here. Thank you. Okay. Third Thursday community information session. Next slide, please. Okay, we always start off with a welcome from our director. She's always, just full of ideas and motivational information. So we'd like you to always hear from her. So make sure that you see that on page 2 of the presentation. Next slide, please. This is an overview of DPIE. It provides you information about all the associate directors that you just met and their contact information, and also Director Bowling, Deputy Director Abraham, and Deputy Director Hinton. It also has our website there. The link is hot there, so you can click on, the links are hot, so you can click on any of these and it'll take you right to the places that are mentioned there. Next slide. Once again, third Thursday, this was an idea that Director Bowling posed, I think back in April of last year. She wanted there to be an opportunity for citizens regularly to be able to interact with us, to ask questions, share information, offer, critiques and criticisms and things that we, maybe need to do better. So we meet here every third Thursday. Once you register, you're registered for 3 sessions. So we'll get those. So if you've registered now, you're registered all the way through March. We'll make sure that we get the new registrations up for you well before the expiration date for those. And we're just happy to have you with us. We meet for an hour via Zoom. We're going to continue to do Zoom. People have told us that it works better than them having to go someplace. So we'll continue with that. Next slide. Okay, so basically we're talking today about accessing information from DPIE. The main source of information for us, besides one of the staff members directly, is our website. We have a wonderful website, really full of information. This is the main page of it. You can see there that on the left side, it has all the divisions and different information. I think it's not called the index. I always forget what it's called, but it's there. Click on it, it'll take you to any of those places. You can go to permits, you can go to, licensing, go to public information and find out, all the information that we have available for you. The top of the website right now is talking about momentum. We've got a wonderful new system coming for permit applications very shortly here. The top of it always contains an important message or notice for you. It also will contain, if you go down to coming events, it mentions today's session, and also next Thursday, our business development section is going to do an introduction to business development, introduction to the business development section. They're going to do a webinar on that. So even if you're not an entrepreneur interested in opening a business, they are a wonderful, wonderful source of information if you want to catch their webinars. They offer them monthly as well. Next slide, please. Okay, public information, since we're talking about information here, is a strong commitment. DPIE has a strong commitment to make sure that you have access to as much information as we are allowed to give you. Our public information office basically serves as the information connection to the public. In an effort to provide you with information, we produce a number of documents every month, including under construction, our newsletter. You'll further into the program, you'll have there'll be a link to each one of those. We invite you to subscribe via clicking the link there, subscribe my PGC. If you would like information, we'll talk a little bit more about accessing it through the Maryland Public Information Act. The Public Information Act was passed about 30 years ago and basically guarantees citizens the right to review and or have copies of records, basically with their tax dollars paid for. So there are a few things that we cannot provide, but most of them we can, and we're happy to do that. We just ask you to submit your request to the Maryland Public Information Act, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Next slide, please. The list of publications here, we produce dozens of publications each year. Everything from information about how to protect your home in a storm to ensuring that you don't fall prey to flippers by checking for unpermitted construction. So our website, if you click on our publications page, it has all of that information. It has our PowerPoint presentations for both the Public Information Office and the Business Development section. Next slide, please. It also gives you access to all of our newsletters. We produce a newsletter every month. They are juicy. They're not one story and done. We provide everything from updates on policies and procedures to news that may be going on with the agency, such as, changes to momentum that are coming up. They are on that. You can click on the links there and get them all the way back to 2020. Next slide, please. Just another example, we did an open forum a few weeks back. Was really informative. You can access the open forum. That was a meeting where we didn't have a presentation. The public just had the opportunity to ask us questions, and we really appreciate the comments that we heard, and the questions that we heard really were really helpful. 3 times a year, DPIE participates with the Department of Public Works and Transportation and the Department of the Environment on a community partners meeting. Many of you, I saw some names of friends in the audience here. The next one will be coming up in April. That'll be sponsored by DOE, and DPIE will sponsor the meeting in September. So watch your emails and Gov Delivery, the program that sends you our newsletters for details about that. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, as I said previously, we work closely with DPIE, DOE, and DPWNT. The next slides will give you an overview of what our agency does and what they do. We do cross-pollinate on some things, but there's some areas that very much are DPIE responsibility, very much are DOE responsibility, and very much are DPWNT's responsibility. Next slide, please. For example, animal services, resource recovery, those are issues that are covered by DOE. Next slide. DPWNT is responsible for the county roads, bridges, sidewalks, etc. They do snow and ice removal. We inspect for sidewalk snow and ice removal, but they are charged with removing the snow. That may help you if the weather gets sort of gnarly here, to know which agency to reach out for updates on those issues. Next slide, please. Okay, we also work closely with other agencies, the police department, the revenue authority, the state highway administration, and of course, PGC 311. PGC 311 is the best tool that we have in the county for you to report any concerns about code violations or to request any sort of assistance. It was revamped last year, and they're doing a mighty job of making sure that they respond to your requests and they forward them to the different agencies. The reason why PGC 311 is a good thing to do instead of reaching out directly is because you may have a situation, a problem where more than one agency would share in responsibility for investigating and resolving it for you. So if you call one, they may not know that you haven't been in touch with the others. If you put that complaint in PGC 311, they will make sure that all of the agencies that should be investigating it and resolving it for you are notified about your complaint. Next slide. Who handles that? Once again, Director Bowling, in her brilliance, had us put together a presentation that told you which agencies do what. We do cross paths, but in many things we don't. This is a live link. I'm not going to go all the way through it because it's very comprehensive, but please make sure that you take a look at this presentation and get a sense of, for instance, if you have a chicken in the yard, DPI would handle the violation, the code violations for having a chicken, but DOE would be the ones to remove the chicken if your neighbors are have chickens in their yards. So you want to make sure that you access that information. Next slide. Permitting and Licensing Division. This is an overview of permitting and licensing. I won't go through it. It's a wonderful, wonderful team down there, led by Associate Director Ravi Shankar and Assistant Associate Director Spears. So you can read all about what they do. If you have any questions for them later on, you can get to those. Next slide. Verify before you buy. One of the passions of this agency brought with Director Bolden was we try to do everything we can to help people who are about to purchase property not make a mistake. So this slide has some different issues that you want to look at before you purchase a property. You can check for code violations, drainage and flooding issues. You always want to make sure that you have a permit, that you check that permit history. If that house has a Florida room and a pool and a deck and a patio, and it's selling for $300,000 and 5,000 square feet, and it's selling for $300,000, you can bet that there's some unpermitted construction going on there. So you can click that link and go to permit history put the address of the property in, and it'll tell you all the different permits that have been issued for that property. And if there are any you want copies of, we can provide those for you through the Maryland Public Information Act. And if there are not permits for some of them, you know that there's been some unpermitted construction. Next slide, please. Okay, another wonderful tool for you as far as gathering information on your own is through the Maryland Department of Assessments and Taxation. You can check information on any property using this website. You can find out the owner of the property, when it was purchased, how much land, how many rooms, etc. Next slide, please. Okay, this is another slide. This is an example of one of the presentations that we did, Mastering the DPIE Permit Application Process. You're welcome to access that information by clicking that link there. Next slide. As I said before, you want to check for permits before you buy. This is another way if you would like to click on these. These are live links. It'll take you to get information about the property by address. Also tell you when a permit is required, so you'll know before you make a change, make an adjustment to your property. And also it can tell you how to get some more information about getting information through the Maryland Public Information Act. Next slide. Okay, this is the Building Plan Review Division. Please read this for some more information about what they do. Next slide. Enforcement Division. This is the group that you're probably most familiar with, and many of the people on here are recognized for people who are regularly in touch with us about issues that are handled by the Enforcement Division. So please feel free to read this to find out some specifics about what they do. Next slide. What constitutes a code violation? Please read this. This is always helpful because there are many times that issues may be what we call at DPIE bad neighbor policy, bad neighbor issues, but they do not constitute a code violation. So please read this. It'll provide you with some additional information about what actually is a code violation and something that DPIE can get involved in. Next slide. DPIE's Dirty Dozen. This is a list of our 12 most frequent code violations. Next slide. Vehicle violations. Many times we get people reaching out to us about what issues involving vehicles on private property that are not indeed vehicle violations. So we have this list here, and then there's some additional information on our website about that. Next slide. PGC 311 is the best way for you to report any problems that you're having. We ask that you do that first. Next slide. Our Inspections Division enforces building, site, and road development codes and regulations. Please read this for more information about specifics of what they do. Next slide. Buyer beware. One of the main issues that we had before, as we said, a passion of directors is helping people to watch out for unpermitted construction. This slide will provide you some information about that. Next slide. Site Road Plan Review reviews and approves plans for site and road construction. Associate Director Giles is on here. We'll take your questions later on. Next slide. In case you missed it, Here are some of our most recent, well, not one is most recent and one is most important presentations. Deputy Director Abraham, I think maybe Special Assistant Lori Paris and Director Bowling made a presentation to County Council in conjunction with our sister agencies and soil conservation. And their report is right here. Please make sure that you access that information. It's one of the most valuable pieces of information that we have available for you. And residential infill permit process, that was a recent PowerPoint presentation, and third Thursday seminar. You can read that as well. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to come in for a landing here. Our business development section is a wonderful, wonderful asset that the agency has. Nicole Reese and Charles, I'm going to forget his last name, forgive me, are just invaluable in the information they provide to aspiring entrepreneurs and business people. We get so many comments about, you know, how helpful they are. They do everything from, you know, providing information about, you know, completing applications to coordinating with DPIE personnel on the behalf of people who reach out to them. They also liaise, you know, with you, with other agencies. So if you are considering operating a business, please make sure to reach out to that team. Next slide. Okay, this is a list of municipalities' responsibilities. I'm not going to go through it, but you can look here and see if you live, for instance, in Eagle Harbor, what DPIE is responsible for and what Eagle Harbor is responsible for. And WSCC and you know, the particular town or city. Next slide. Okay, once again, public information. I'm not going to bore you with it. If you need information from DPIE, we're always a good place to start. We ask that you submit a Maryland Public Information Act request form and submit that. We are required by law to respond within 30 days. There are times when we are unable to do that because the information may be, you know, very comprehensive. So we'll give you an idea of, you know, how long it may take us. There are times when it can take 6 months and it's legitimate because the information requested is very, very extensive, but we get them back to you as soon as we can. Next slide. Okay, talking about DPIE, this will give you more information about how to access that information. Next slide. List of publications that we have, we showed you before. If you hit that QR code there, it'll take you to the website. Feel free to share this with your networks. We try not to copy and pass out information anymore. During COVID, a lot of people did not want to touch things. And we had a lot of people also telling us that we weren't being very responsible stewards of the environment, printing 5,000 of every document and passing it out when we should be, and that we should be more frugal with paper. So we have made sure that we have all of our documents online for you. So feel free to access those. Next slide. Once again, more presentations for you. All of our third Thursday presentations, our community partners presentations, and all of our presentations are online. So feel free to access those. Next slide. We also have information in Spanish. Excuse me. We have a dedicated Spanish page, and we also provide information about how people who speak another language can access that information on our website. Next slide. Thank you very much. This slide will give you the contact information for me. And with that one, Ed, I appreciate this, and we'll go ahead and start taking questions. Okay, we're going to start with, last time we started with questions from the chat. This time, let's start with questions from the floor. If you have a question, please raise your hand electronically, and we will be happy to call on you. Yes, Ms. Miller. Please unmute yourself.
All right. My question is it legal to, what I would say, carve out a gravel parking space on your lawn in front of your home?
One of our experts take that?
I can respond to that. Driveways, whether asphalt paved or gravel, do require a permit. The apron out in the street requires a permit, and then the extension of the driveway onto your lot. It's part of what we call a residential driveway permit. So if a person secured a permit for that, then that's a legal driveway.
Okay, even though it's gravel and it's on the front lawn, it's okay. If they get a permit.
If they've gotten a permit for it, yes.
All right, and I can probably go online and find out whether the person got a permit.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cheryl Smiler?
Yep. Hi. I put mine in the chat, but I missed it last time.
Ma'am, your audio went out.
Yeah, it did. You ready? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, code violations. Last time I asked, and y'all said it wasn't really online, no type of portal or anything. So, how do I get, and I don't know how to obtain a list of code violations locations, basically, because I mean, either they need help one way or the other, but so I'm licensed as home improvement, lead supervisor abatement, mold supervisor abatement. It just seemed like if there are problem properties, maybe they just have problems, finding somebody to do the work. So I was trying to find them.
Okay, that's a Maryland Public Information Act request. We are required by Maryland Public Information, by the Maryland Public Information Act to provide documents that we have. We have documents that we use to do the work for DPIE. We don't necessarily have documents on everything. So we'll have people, for instance, somebody who has a gardening business who will contact us, who will want to know everybody who got a code violation for tall grass and weeds on 15th Street. And we're not that specific. We have lists that we that we publish. And if you send me a Maryland Public Information Act request form, we'll give you the latest of what we have. But we don't do individual searches.
Okay, yeah, I don't care if it blankets the whole county.
Okay, yeah, just send it an MPIA. Thank you. And if you have any questions, give me a call and we can chat a little bit more about it. Ms. Bratton?
Good morning. My name is Benita Bratton, and I'm representing Tribeca Camp Springs, a residential condo. The violations here have been so humongous that common ownership, common relationship, Dr. Bailey intervened last year. Since then, nothing has been done. We have 5 buildings, 6 levels, trash chutes, and the doors aren't working. The odor comes from one building to another. We identified 22 violations. Since then, DPIE has constantly passed us over to 6 people in your organization, and we're still living in these deplorable conditions. The question now, who can address this? We hate to go outside of the county, but no one should have to live like this. We have exposed wiring, water coming through the building. You can't get out from the building to the garage because of the water issue. So who is going to take on this project, or can I talk to someone separately? We've sent pictures, documents, and everything, and nothing has happened.
Okay, did you say it's a common ownership community, ma'am?
No, it's a condo.
It's a condo. Yes, that's okay. We refer to those as common ownership communities. Can somebody help Ms. Bratton with some general information, then we can actually maybe.
Ms. Bratton, I will reach out to you directly. I will put my information in the chat. If you can just give me a call when you get a chance, so we can talk about this offline. All right.
Okay, I really appreciate that. In addition, I own a rental property and I had a problem getting my license. I would like to thank DPIE for working with me to get this issue straight. It didn't take long, so I'm hoping you work the same way with Tribeca at Camp Springs condominium. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, here's one question from the chat. Does DPIE still provide the homeowner and community code enforcement booklet, English and Spanish, in hard copy? If so, how to obtain copies in bulk for community distribution? That's Ms. Edwards. Ms. Edwards, we got in trouble, for not being responsible. Ecologically, we don't have them in bulk. I think years ago we used to do, you could get 200 at a time or 500 at a time. Now we have them there absolutely online. It is printable. So if people, you're welcome to share the link with your folks. And if they want to print it out, they can print it out. We don't print them by the thousands anymore, the way we used to. It's the same information. It's,
It's not effective.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so if you have any questions, reach out to me, and if you need just a few copies, I'm happy to send you just a few copies. But if you need mass copies, we encourage you to use the link and send people the link so that they can access the information electronically. Thank you. Okay, next question. Can I have farm animals in the critical area? Calvert Manor. Who's that, please? If you could step up and let us know what you mean by the critical area.
The critical area that's listed in the county as what's defined as critical do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I'll take that one, Avis. Critical area or otherwise, agricultural activities are regulated by the Prince George's County Soil Conservation District. So if you could put your information in the chat, or I can give you the name of the person to talk to in PGSCD.
So what you're telling me is the Soil Conservation District is going to determine if I can have farm animals in the critical area, and DPIE is not going to come out and harass me at all about that.
I didn't say that. I'm saying that whether you can do it or not is a determination of both agricultural and also zoning. So you may need to consult with park and planning as well. If it is allowed, fine. If it's not allowed, then DPIE has enforcement authority.
Thank you. Okay. Special Assistant Dornan wants everybody to remember that properties adjacent to public sidewalks are responsible for snow and ice removal over 2 inches from sidewalks. DPIE inspects public sidewalks to enforce compliance with this requirement 24 and 48 hours after the end of a significant snow. So there's information about that on the website as well. Okay. Is there a restriction or violation concerning work vans on the streets?
So I'm sorry, I don't see the question, but if you're saying, in a residential community, can a property owner bring their work van and park it on the county street? Is that the question?
Yes, several vans, and you may have 2 or 3 neighbors living next to each other, and you can have 7 vans parked on the street, blocking traffic on a narrow street.
Well, thank you, Ms. Miller, for that question. I'm going to turn to Associate Director Carey to give you our answer. I was trying to, you kind of jumped me there, boss. Ma'am, parks on the public roadway is not the purview of DPIE. It is the purview of the Revenue Authority. But when you say work vans, do they have lettering on the side? How do you determine that they're work vans? You're muted, ma'am.
A couple of them would not be considered, now that I say that, would not be considered work vans, but church vans. And the others do not have any signs on them.
Okay, then that makes it a little difficult. The code is pretty clear about what is legal to park in a residential neighborhood and what isn't. Can you give me your address and maybe we can take a ride by there and see how we can help? And I'll reach out to our partners at the Revenue Authority and see if we can.
Okay, you want me to put it in the chat or I can say it?
No, ma'am, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Avis, I see that Ms. Brooks has her hand up.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I was reading the chat. Ms. Brooks?
I just have a quick question. I understand you guys don't publish the homeowners guides anymore. But what I've found is that when people get them, there is an enhanced level of responsibility because then they know what they are responsible for as a homeowner. With that being said, are we able to order large quantities of those? Because I find we kind of put people in a catch-22. We don't tell them what their responsibilities are, but we will cite them for a violation. So
Yes,
it's like if we educate people, we have more educated population of homeowners, and there's fewer violations to be written.
Okay,
Thank you. Good point, Ms. Brooks. What we can do is there's another agency you're familiar with Director Unisha Davis.
Yeah.
Of Community Relations. Quickly have a budget for publications. And
awesome.
Reach out to them to see if we can partner with them and send them our link. And have the funds to print them, and then we could share them out.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Okay, I have a utility, I'm sorry, did you have any more questions, Brooks? Good, okay. I have a utility pole in my backyard. How do I get more information? For example, when it was placed, if they have domain egress right-of-way options to remove it, etc.
This is Mary Giles, and I answered that in the chat, I think.
Okay, great, thank you.
You have any? Yeah.
Okay.
This is Shirley Mark. I asked the question. Ms. Giles, in the event that there is no sticker, I will look for one, but if there is no sticker, then what?
Does the pole have electric on it, phone lines? What does it have on it?
I couldn't even tell you.
Okay.
It's just horizontal lines. I don't know.
You know, I mean, even if it's a private pole that has just your private line on it, it was probably, for example, if it had electric, it would have been installed by either BG&E, Pepco, or SMECCO, depending on where you live in the county. So you can send me some more information via email in terms of your address and what you think is on the pole. And we may be able to give you the contact person at the right utility company.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. And a few minutes ago, I did a brain meltdown. Charles Cooper is the second member of the business development section. So if he's on here, Charles, I apologize for that. He and Nicole Reese are a fabulous, wonderful team. So please feel free to reach out to them. Okay, Ms. Mark, I want to simply insulate my garage. Was that one answered as well? I want to simply insulate my garage and refinish the floors with epoxy. Do I need a permit? Can somebody give her a quick yes or no? If I want to simply insulate.
Or Karen, one of y'all jump in and answer the question about if I want to simply insulate my garage and refinish the floors with epoxy, do I need a permit?
Yeah, just to put the epoxy on the flooring, they don't need a permit. But if they're going to do insulation and drywall, we need to get a building permit for that.
Do I need a permit to build a greenhouse on my property?
Yes.
Okay. I had a seamless experience getting
depending on the size of anything up to 150 square foot, like a garage or a shed, no permit is required. Anything beyond that, a building permit is required.
Okay.
We have a couple of hands up, Avis. I'm sorry, Valor, go ahead.
Yeah, if you also have, there is already a shed there, and you are going to add a second shed for a greenhouse, definitely you're required to have a building permit because you're only exempt to have one shed up to 150 square foot, exempt from that. Anything beyond that, you're required to have a building permit, no matter what the size of the shed is.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Grew?
Hi, thank you for taking my question. Can you hear me?
We can.
I put it in the chat, but it's incredibly long. I'm not a PG County resident, but I want to be. And we're under contract for a home in Brentwood that I would consider heavily encumbered. It was purchased by what I will call a flipper. They may call themselves investors. And I think that the county has done a great job of protecting future home buyers of the county. And I am hopefully going to be one of those. We feel like we're caught between a rock and a hard place between that protection afforded to us by the county and the seller, who did a bunch of work for a variety of reasons without obtaining the permits prior to doing the work. We're comfortable with that, and we want to, make sure that the county gets paid and that the work is done safely. The issue is that we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because we don't own the home. We want to, and so whenever I call the county to look for information as to when the permits would be complete or when the next inspection will be, the inspectors kind of they're unable to give us all the specifics because, again, we're not the homeowners, we're not residents, and so I appreciate that. On the other end, you have the investor who has likely just kind of given up just because of all the red tape, and I think they've paid for the permits. It's just sort of getting through the system, and so they get upset whenever we start inquiring. And I think if they're on this now, they'll probably get upset with me, but I'm just doing it because it's open forum and why not? And so I'm just looking to see if there's any more transparency that we can try to obtain to see what the status is before we kind of just walk away from the deal. It's a lovely neighborhood. We want to make sure that we would be good citizens there and the like, but it's sort of just like taking a really long time. And I'm wondering if there's any way that I can obtain information without putting the inspectors or the enforcement division in a hard spot. And I also don't want to upset the seller. So any advice would be greatly appreciated.
Who'd like to take that?
Good morning, this is George Holmes.
Oh, wonderful. Go ahead, George. Go ahead. No, you go. No. I'll defer to you, sir.
This is George Holmes with the Inspections Division. And what I would like to say is when we do find an investor who has started work without permit, we hold them responsible to follow through with the construction and the inspection of that work to make sure it meets code. So when they do that, they're required to hire a professional engineer to certify that work, to make sure that work meets the code. So it's not the county inspector that they're waiting on. They have to hire their own professional engineer to come out, certify that work, and make sure it meets code. So with you and your investor that you're interested in purchasing from, he's just taking his time, I guess, to finalize that work. But it's been completed, but it is fairly expensive if he has to go out.
And so to that, Mr. Grew, what I would add is we can tell you if there are comments made, right? If there were some reviews done and what the outstanding comments were, or if what Mr. Holmes is saying, if it was all unpermitted construction and we've given the correction order that they have to get a third-party certification from a licensed engineer, we can tell you what they need to get done. But there is no time limit forcing them to get it done that helps you, if that answers your question.
Yeah. So how would I go about inquiring to get those comments? Because they're not on like the DPIE website. It just says that the inspector had a conversation and it passed, but like it clearly hasn't passed because the orange sticker is still on the front door, and I just don't, other than calling.
There are two ways you can do that, Mr. Grew. First of all, unfortunately, yes, the applicant is the only one who has access to go on the system to see all the comments, the status of a permit application, or the status of an inspection, everything an applicant can look into that. However, if you would like to get any information on any project, you're most welcome to send the address through an DPIE request. We'll be more than happy to, locate whatever it is. We'll be more than happy to share that with you. And that's one of the quickest way also we can do that. But if you are the owner, or if you are any way related to a particular project, you can request the information being a owner of a project or whoever you are, then that is a different ballgame. So because unless the whole information, we had to share that with you through an NPA. We have no problem with that.
So,
Avis is the
Yeah,
person who
Avis is-
handles our NPIA request process. And so I think on the PowerPoint, you have your email and phone number.
it's
So
the last PowerPoint, the last page of the PowerPoint. So send that in, Mr. Grew, and we can, and you're also welcome to call me and we can chat more offline. Okay.
And I just want to say that we're bringing up a new module, which Avis brought out in the PowerPoint in momentum in permitting, where there will be transparency for everybody online. And we'll bring that up in late spring, early summer, so that will be, you'll be able to do that. It didn't help you today, but later in the year it will.
Thank you.
All
Okay,
right, thank you.
Sonia Green.
Hello, yes, my name is Sonia Green. I am an owner at Tribeca, and there's some things that I am not happy with, and I like to know, how do I go through to talk to somebody? First of all, what is the weight of an animal living in a condo?
That is an animal control, a DOE question. If you can reach out to me, ma'am, I can get you on the phone with my counterpart at the Department of the Environment, which handles animal services, and she can talk to you about that. And then if there's an enforcement issue, then you and I can talk about me getting you in touch with somebody on our enforcement team.
Okay, and there's another question.
Sure.
Again, I've been having problems with Tribeca, with the property manager, and with some of the board. We have had our calling box out for almost, I can say almost 3 to 4 months. The problem was that I was helping my husband was ill. And every time the people was coming by to assist me, I had to go downstairs constantly to let them up. All I do is hear from the property manager saying the box is on the way. It's on the way. We have to do this. We have to do that. And then on top of that, one night I had some medicine that was delivered to my husband. That was 12 o'clock at night. And I could not let that person up. So I had to leave my husband and go downstairs to get the medicine from him, which I don't know who's outside or was he the right person. To me, that was danger to me.
Okay.
Trying to do what is, to take care of my husband.
Yes,
but we're still having problems with the calling box. All I hear is on the way. We're having problems with this person. That doesn't make sense to me when this box has been out for almost 3 to 4 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Green, you made some good points there. I'm going to turn to Associate Director Carey just to give you a couple of minutes, because somebody else asked a question about common ownership challenges. And it's the enforcement division for the county. She'll give you a little bit of that and then some specifics on your particular issues.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ms. Green. So what we are responsible for, and I need your address because I'll have an inspector come out and just take a look at the common areas. Understand if anything is going on inside the unit, that's the purview of the owner.
Okay.
That's a whole different enforcement action. But the common areas we are responsible for enforcing. Unfortunately for us, a lot of times we find that who we hold accountable for the common areas are your management company. Some common area, some condos have great management companies and some don't. And a lot of times what we hear from the management company is they just don't have the money. If the condo owners aren't paying their condo fees, then there's no money in the treasury to fix things around the building and fix things like the calling box. So please let me, if you would, put your address or either email me with your address and I'll have an inspector come out to your building.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now I'll get with you in just a minute, Ms. Mark, but Ms. Okoye hasn't had a chance to ask a question. Ms. Okoye?
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you for the information. I just wanted to know where we can get a copy of this presentation with the links, because when you showed it on screen, there's no way to click on the link.
Right.
And also where we can get a copy of, like, I think the homeowner's book that has like what is a violation and what isn't a violation, where we can get a copy of that. I know you guys are not mailing out physical copies, but where can we get the link to share with
Okay,
other-
on the DPI website, this presentation will be posted shortly after we finish here. And so if you just go to the DPI website, you can also and get this presentation. It'll be on it'll be linked on the main page, and all of the links are live in there. So that brochure will be live, and any of the other presentations that we have available will be live, always through the DPI website.
Can you just confirm that website again? Because when I'm clicking online, I'm just seeing going to the DPI permitting website that's taking me to Momentum.
It's dpi.mypgc.us. DPIE.mypgc.us.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, Ms. Mark was first. Yes, ma'am.
My understanding is that PG County does not allow for ADUs. So is it possible to sell a parcel of my land instead?
That's really a question for park and planning, and I don't want to step on your toes and give you the wrong answer. I know that's a punt, but what we can do, Miss Mark, was that who's speaking? I'm sorry. It's Miss Mark?
Yes.
We will give you our contacts over, our colleagues over in park and planning, so that you can speak with them directly and they can get back to you quickly on that.
Thank you.
Ms. Bratton?
Yes, I just wanted to add on to Ms. Green's comment about Tribeca, the call boxes. There was an inspection done, and the inspector just told management to cap the wires because the call box because they were exposed. I've had medical
Excuse me, Ms.
personnel.
Bratton? Excuse me, I am so sorry. We are going to deal with that, and then if you'd like us to get back with you, we can let you know what happens when we investigate for Ms. Green. We've got some more questions. It would be okay if we let a couple of other people ask a question.
I guess so, yes.
Thank you. We'll get back with you.
And Ms. Bratton, I sent you a direct message to contact me earlier from your earlier comment.
Okay, I do have that, and I'm going to call you after this meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Covington?
Yes, my name is Michael Covington, and I have a question about the purview that DPI has over, damages that result from roof problems that also, which are outside the condominium, damage the interior of the condominium. What kind of a purview does DPI have over those kinds of issues? In other words, if the damage in the interior of a condominium is caused by a common area problem such as the roof, does DPI have jurisdiction?
Yes, sir. That is the responsibility of the management company. So if your interior unit is damaged by some type of structural problem of the building itself, yes, DPI does have jurisdiction over that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there was a question about anybody else have another one real fast. We'll take the last question from the chat, and we'll answer the rest of these and put them on the website. Is there a different license application? Okay, I'm sorry. There is a different license application and permitting. Can the person who asked that, looks like, I can't pronounce the name. I'm sorry. I don't want to destroy your name. Dershay. Okay, if you
Yes,
could.
I am here.
Yes.
I'm here. Okay, my question is, there is application when the application number or any license, and there is a difference for permit license. For example, to say, I apply for family child care for 1 year. Stay already I apply. After that application, the OCC is asking me another course. I have to take it, and it takes time, almost one year. After I finish the course, I came in the office, try to be again process. Already the application process, I paid for the application process. Immediately the decline.
Mr.
And
Shea, I'm gonna jump in. I think what I need to do is to get you in contact with our business development officer, Nicole Reese. She's on travel today, but I will have her reach out to you tomorrow. If you can you type in your email or phone number in the chat? And she can reach out to you because the questions you're asking seem to involve different agencies. You're talking about a license for childcare. There may be a facility, a building permit. There may be use and occupancy. There may be a whole bunch of different things we need to help you with. The government specifically helps you with, but not necessarily DPI. But I'll have a business development officer, Nicole Reese, help you. But if you could just type in either your phone number or your email, we'll be happy to make that happen. Can you do that, ma'am?
oh, I try. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great. We will answer if you have a question that didn't get answered in the chat, watch the website and we'll get those answered and up for you within a few days. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to having you join us on the third Thursday in February. We're not sure what the topic will be yet, but we'll make sure to let you know that very soon. Thank you so much for joining us and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for another good presentation, Avis and
Thank you.
DPI.
Thank you.
Thank you.